All right, tent is mounted. What's next?
Well, it is made out of carbon fiber.
So what?
I think it's meant to go fast. Behind me is an inspired Overland rooftop tent. But it's not just any rooftop tent. This guy is made out of carbon fiber, which means that it adds plus 10 horsepower to this vehicle, plus 5 aerodynamics, which means behind me is not only a rooftop tent, but one fast refrigerator on wheels. All right, now, but seriously, behind me is the inspired Overland carbon fiber rooftop tent. It's one of their newer products that they just came out with. It's not entirely made out of carbon fiber. I guess the hard shell part is carbon fiber, while the rest of it is an aluminum frame. Let's go check it out. I'm gonna share my initial impressions, tell you some of the pros and cons after spending one night in it, and just go over it. So let's go check it out. First off, let's go over some of the dimensions real quick. So the sleeping area inside is 85 inches by 49 inches in width. I'm 6'2". I was able to fully stretch out in there. My feet were a little bit off to the side, but I was able to sleep just fine. If you're over 6'2", it might be a little bit too cramped for you, but it's definitely a step above the standard size inspired Overland rooftop tent, which I believe has a sleeping platform of 78 inches. But it's still a little bit smaller than the XL version of the regular inspired Overland tent, which I believe comes in at 87 inches long. I think one of the great things about it is how slim it is. Right now, when we collapse it, I'll show you a little more of that. But it's around 5 inches thick. So if you have like a low profile garage, this is pretty great because you might still be able to fit in. Now, one of the cool things about this rooftop tent, since it is a hard shell, it has these T-slots for you to mount accessories. I'm hoping that maybe I could mount some lights up to the front of it in the future. Another nice addition is it no longer relies on telescopic poles to set it up. It solely relies on these gas struts. And from what I can tell, these gas struts are beefier than the ones that come on the standard inspired Overland rooftop tent. And really, I guess that's kind of the common theme here. Since it's a hard shell, it feels a lot more durable, a lot more sturdy, and everything, I think, overall is a lot, beefier. So let's go ahead and take a look around it to see some of the features. Now, this tent opens up with 4 latches, 1 on each side and 2 on the back. No more zippers like in the standard inspired Overland tent. The only zippers you have is obviously the ones for like the side panels and for the back panels. One noticeable improvement that Inspired Overland also did is they added these brackets for the tent fly poles, and these brackets are angled out. So this guy back here is a lot better supported. I think that was one of the big complaints that they fixed from the standard Inspired Overland tent. But overall, the interior fabric looks pretty similar, still kind of like this durable, polyester material. But yeah, I mean, like a typical wedge style rooftop tent that has openings on 3 sides, lets in plenty of airflow. And one of the other nice things that they added is they added these ports right here. So you could hook up either a diesel heater or a portable AC unit and just run like your hose right through there. So that's a real nice addition to this tent. Included with this rooftop tent is a telescoping ladder. No real complaints about this. It's sturdy. I thought they had fixed the warning labels on it, but it's still kind of off. I think it says never stand or closer than 3 feet from the top rung. I think what that means is don't stand like on this guy right here, or you might lose your balance. Another thing about this ladder though is you can mount it on all 3 sides. You can mount it here, on the back, or on the driver's side. With all that said on the outside, let's go check out the inside. All right, so welcome to the inside of the carbon fiber inspired Overland's rooftop tent. One of the big improvements from this rooftop tent over the standard one is that they now added a self-inflating foam mattress, which I think is honestly a game changer. This air mattress is probably, what, like 3 inches thick? Condensation mat. Now, something that's different about this rooftop tent in comparison to others is it doesn't actually have a platform underneath. It has more of like a rib system, which I guess you see on like typical like beds or bed frames at home. So this is like soft through, so it's like soft, and then it's like a bar, soft bar. I was a little bit concerned about that at first because I thought I was going to be able to feel it through the rooftop tent or through the mattress, but I did not feel it at all. Over here are the air inflate deflate ports. There's one on this side and one right there as well. And these are reversible valves, so if I want to deflate it, right now it's in inflate mode. If I want to deflate it, I just have to pop this guy open, flip it around, and the air starts coming out. Same for this side. Oh, you can actually hear them inflating right now as I'm sitting on there. So I'm a big fan of like these self-inflating foam mattresses. They offer a lot of support. You could adjust the firmness on them as well. Overall, I think this is a welcomed upgrade, and hopefully they offer this mattress for the other Inspired Overland tents, because I think it's definitely worth it. Inspired Overland did up their storage game as well. They have this storage fabric over here, but one of the changes that they did is in the center they added clear vinyl. That way you can put like your phone in there, or maybe even an iPad, and like watch a movie while you're hanging out in here, something like that. You could also use it to like pop a light in there to light up the tent. And they added additional storage up on this side as well. Another little storage bag, and they also have the storage bags for your shoes here on the back side. So we have these nice shoe bags in here with a little flap to keep your shoes dry in the event of inclement weather. Also have this awning over here. Top out with the same part. These are hiking boots, and they fit in there pretty well with like room to spare. And then there's another one on this side. It looks like you could remove these, put them elsewhere. I saw some of these clips on the side over here, so I think you could actually move these over to like the corners, but I personally like them there. If you're looking for the tent poles, they're usually underneath the mattress on the passenger side of the tent. At least that's where I found mine. So in typical fashion with these wedge style rooftop tents, it has one of these bug meshes that you could close up here all the way, and then it also has like the standard, I guess, weather blackout ones. And it actually does get decently dark in here when you close it out. Obviously not as dark as like one of like the iCampers, but it's dark enough to continue sleeping once the sun rises. And of course, Inspired Overland was kind enough to include YKK Zippers, because that matters to you. You know, it matters to some people, it matters to me. And I guess in regards to wind resistance, I've seen people on Facebook say that like they've had this thing up in like 40-mile-per-hour wind. Right now, from the opening shot, Adam was probably going, what, 20, 25 miles per hour, and it was barely moving. So it held up pretty well for that. So I think I'll update you guys once I figure it out, like how well it actually performs in wind, but so far it looks pretty sturdy in there. One of the first potential cons that I noticed is I didn't see any drain holes at the bottom of these rails. So if water pulls up here, I'm not entirely sure where it's gonna go. It could go off through the corners over here. I could see that there's like some slight gaps for it to like drip out of. But I wonder if that's gonna be a problem with like moisture pooling up in here and potentially leaking into the tent. Like this is water resistant fabric, so it might be fine, but I guess that's something we're just gonna have to keep an eye out for. Another potential con is, since this doesn't have a flooring underneath and it's like just this soft fabric with the mattress on it, I can see this getting pretty dusty real quick. And I do worry about how, like, you know, once sand gets in here, if it's gonna like creating sort of like abrasion and like start eating up at the, I guess, at the fabric down here.
I don't like sand.
Now, I guess on the topic of abrasion and sand, the carbon fiber on this has a laminate sheet. I could see that also getting kind of like scratched up with sand, especially if you throw your cover on there and stuff like that. So another potential con, which I guess is a compromise of a pro, is that since this tent is so slim, I feel like we won't be able to leave any sleeping bags or anything like that in there, because it seems like the room's already taken up by the air mattress. Now, a potential solution for that would be to carry, I guess, an electric pump to be able to like deflate it. And if you do that, get the air mattress all nice and, I guess, squished down, you might be able to fit some more stuff in there. But other than that, there's not much room for anything in there. The ladder, for example, doesn't stay inside the tent. So you have to accommodate that in the back of your vehicle. Quick shout out to Off Hours Coffee Project for supplying the coffee for this adventure and for all 520 Overland adventures. Be sure to check them out to fuel your adventures. Be sure to use code 520Overland10 for 10% off. Let's get back to the video. Well, finally, we've gone over the pros, the cons, giving you my thoughts and my initial impressions of it after spending one night in it. But what's the damage? How much will this tent set you back? Now, the standard Inspired Overland rooftop tent, I believe, retails for $12.99. This guy will set you back $23.99 if you pick it up at one of their pickup locations. If you want it shipped to your address, you got to pay $250 more on that.
The number.
They just gave them a number and they're like, bring it out. There's like some little, I think that's the ladder next to it.
I decided to pick up mine in person at the Chino, California location. Did so I could throw in a weekend trip in there as well. Plus, obviously, it is a little bit cheaper if you do it that way. The whole process was pretty straightforward. I had to schedule when I was going to pick it up online. When I got there, I gave them the tracking number and they brought it right out. I asked them to bring it out to Dock 29 because there was some shade there and I didn't know how long I was going to take to install it. I would probably guess that it takes most people about an hour to do so, if not quicker. However, I have a low profile roof rack that's kind of hard to undo the crossbars, so I had to loosen up the tent, slide it over to one side, slide it over to the other side, and just slowly tighten the bolts with like a long, I think 18-inch ratchet that I brought myself. That said, Inspired Overland does include a 13mm ratchet in there, and that's pretty much all you should need to install it. However, make sure you look up what you need for your roof rack to install a rooftop tent, and just in case, pack some ratchet straps so you can just strap it down to your roof rack in case you can't figure it out there in the parking lot. Another thing to keep in mind is the mounting hardware and the tools are in the same box as the ladder. I couldn't find things at first, so I had a little minor heart attack there, but once I cracked it open, we were all good. Inspired Overland did a really good job at packaging everything. They used some really good cardboard. However, if you pick it up at one of their locations, you might not be able to get rid of all the packaging there. So be sure to pack a sharp knife and have plenty of room to throw all the, cardboard and packaging material into the back of your vehicle. Oh, and one more installation tip. Be sure to lift up the cover that comes with it just to make sure you're mounting it in the correct way. That is with the wedge opening up towards the rear of your vehicle. Oh, and if you do have an awning, be sure to leave some room so you could actually access that latch. I ended up offsetting my tent over to the passenger side. Oh, and also, once you take off the, the soft cover on there, there is more packaging material. But after that, it sets up by just opening up those 4 latches I mentioned earlier, and it just pops right open. And at the end of the day, at least based on my initial impressions, I really like this tent. I think Inspired Overland did a great job at packing in a lot of features into this rooftop tent while also not blowing the price out of proportion. Plus, it's lightweight and low profile, meaning that it doesn't really affect how I use my vehicle as a daily driver. But that does it for my initial impressions. Be sure to like and subscribe. I will be doing a long-term review on this tent. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comments below. Let me know if you have this tent, what your thoughts are on it. But other than that, thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you all on the next one.